3, 2, 1, we're live.
Hello.
What up, Dylan?
Not much. How about you, Billy?
Oh, I'm living the dream, baby. Living the dream. Just me and Dylan tonight. No Kyle.
Now I get actual focus.
Yeah, we actually centered the camera on us. Like, look at how legendary we are. Oh, last week was a good week, man. We had Godzilla, this Godzilla X Kong film come out, and Dylan and I actually had a chance to go see it. Midnight release at 7 p.m. You know how one does.
Yeah, midnight. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge kaiju giant monster fan, and I love Godzilla, and I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think it is definitely a silly movie that you just need to go knowing that it's not going to be like you're not going to think about it much. But the action in it was great, and just the monster fights were so good in my opinion. You get I believe it's over 50 minutes of monster screen time. And Kong, I would say it's more of a Kong-centered film, for sure, in my opinion, with Godzilla making little cameos. But Kong really gets to like show his personality off, and then Godzilla's just being a beast, and it was great. What did you think of it?
I loved it. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. And I had a great time with it. It was so much fun. I wasn't actually put off that much by the story. I thought it didn't interrupt my enjoyment at all.
Yeah.
What I will say is this movie, and I think movies really need to get back to this. This movie made a statement in the first 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It came out firing, and I was like, this is gonna be an insane film. I cannot wait to watch this. Like, I'm so happy to be here.
And it starts you off in the action too. It's like boom, you're right there. And I mean the biggest complaint with all these Godzilla movies from the Legendary's Monsterverse is that they focus too much on the humans, and they're getting better at it, but it's still too much in my opinion. Like, just do the whole movie. Just do Kong and Godzilla. Like you showed in the movie, Kong doesn't speak.
Yeah.
But his time on the screen, I didn't care. I was like, because they were able to show his emotions and kind of like, him with the little monkey and then how he'd walk up to the big monkeys. And it was like, I didn't need anybody to talk for those scenes. And so I get that they want, for some reason, the actors to be in there to explain it and to have like a human plot. But you
didn't need it.
I don't need it.
Honestly, the CGI was spot on. It was synonymous. Like, the difference in detail between them and what was real. I mean, it was just you couldn't even notice the difference. The sound, the audio quality. I mean, we saw it in IMAX. I think that should be mentioned because it was just over the top perfect in terms of like the visual and audio fidelity. The fight scenes were really great. I thought the audio cues were great. Godzilla's scream was I felt like they really didn't showcase it. It was kind of muted a little bit. It was more like it's a roar and not the iconic.
Not the one from the previous movies. It is, but it's kind of, they've like toned it down for some reason. I don't know why. Because
what's up, Something Cool Gaming?
I remember specifically, like, and I've told this story on the podcast before, but when I went to go see the 2014 Godzilla, the very first one from the Monsterverse, when Godzilla roars in that movie, my pants shook. Like, that's how loud and how like they cranked that bitch up.
My pants shook for other reasons.
Yeah, but this one, it's kind of like in the background.
It was like muddled with more of like the other, maybe the music and like the growl effect. I don't know. It wasn't the iconic screech for me.
Yeah, and so
it didn't take away from it. I just noticed it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe they're trying to move away from that sound in this universe, or
I hope not. I think they're just trying to kind of. The one thing my one nitpick about Godzilla is they're kind of going a little bit too much in the opposite direction of the complaints in the first film were like, we didn't see him enough, and that when he did show up, he didn't do enough. But now he does his atomic breath so often.
It's like on rapid fire.
It's like on rapid fire. And in the first movie, that was a big,
It was
like,
saved.
it was sick. Seeing him, you're like, oh shit, he's got atomic breath right now.
Well, so are we going to talk about the negatives? Because I think overall we definitely loved it.
Yeah, I would recommend go watch
Yes.
it.
I guess let's get into the negatives.
Yeah.
Godzilla spends the whole movie charging up and like does absolutely nothing with that.
Well, and the thing, it's like, I never felt like in the last fight, I never felt like either of them were in danger.
No.
Like, if you go, like, you can go watch King of the Monsters, and you can watch the first Godzilla, and even Kong. You can go watch those 3 other movies. Even Godzilla versus Kong. All of those movies, I felt like one of them was in danger. Like, oh man, they're gonna die. This is like, what are they gonna do? This one, I was like, no, they got this in the bag. They're gonna fucking murder this little monkey.
Yeah, they had an enslaved like Godzilla version. I don't know
Ice
what.
Godzilla.
Yeah, Ice Godzilla.
Shimu.
Shimu, which was absolutely badass, and
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. But I would have figured that she would have probably tried to help that Godzilla and Kong a little earlier than like until the shackle was broken. I felt like that was a little weird. It was like it inflicted pain, but she couldn't have snapped on him and just froze his ass out, or like supported and didn't go like so gung ho into trying to fuck up Godzilla or whatever.
Well, and exactly, you said Godzilla powered the whole film. Like, his plot point is powering up. Like, that's his whole...
Changes color.
Yeah.
He's like irradiating
skinny.
radiation, just like fully charged up. And all he does is pew, 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 blast the like a stormtrooper.
For the skinny
misses
monkey.
everything. Yeah.
It's
Well, let's talk about Scar, the villain here. At no point was I like over the top impressed with his authority and strength.
I thought when he first showed up and him and Kong fought, I thought that was a great introduction. But then I slowly was like, well...
How is he going to fight Godzilla, Mothra, and Kong when Kong almost pretty much beats him one-on-one?
Yeah. And it's like...
When Kong was pretty handicapped.
It would be different, I guess, in my opinion, if it had been Scar as the leader and then maybe more warrior monkeys or something. Like, that way it's a whole army. Of Kongs. But no, it's literally just Scar.
No.
Like, there are other evil Kongs, but they don't fight Godzilla at all. When Godzilla joins the fight, it's just Scar and Shimu, and that's it. Well, no, actually. No, there are in the zero gravity fight. But they get wiped out easy.
Yeah, and then like the
Mothra
one
just webs them to the rocks.
Yeah. And then the one like Kong was going for like part of the army was going for like baby Kong.
Yeah.
And it made no sense. It was like, what did he do to you? Like,
Yeah.
like he's like straight up just trying to fuck up this little baby. And like they had like this intimate moment at the beginning of the movie where they kind of gave a nod to each other, like, yeah, he's with me or whatever, and you know we're gonna be protected and safe because he's really strong, or Kong is really strong. And it was like, okay. It was like, oh, okay, they're kind of buddies, whatever. There's an understanding. Then the next time you see him, he's fucking hunting down baby Kong. You're like, oh, okay.
He betrayed him.
I don't know what's happening here, but okay.
Yeah, but like you were saying though, I didn't feel like there's any stakes going into the final fight that would make Kong or Godzilla. Kong, he just got a robot arm, and then he just kicked ass.
Fully upgraded.
Yeah, fully upgraded. And then Godzilla, he didn't need to upgrade. He could have whooped their ass normally.
Except his aim sucked this movie.
It did. But I think that's my complaint of using too much atomic breath. I think that needs to be used sparingly because it is cool, but it has to, and it's too OP. But you can't just use it like it's a machine gun. And Godzilla was.
Yeah. It was kind of wild. It was wild, but definitely overall, I mean, it was just one of those that it's a spectacle.
Yeah.
It is a spectacle.
I mean, I loved, there was so many good fights in it. Like the very beginning one with Godzilla when he fights the crab thing in the town of, is it Rome or Italy or something?
I think it is. Yeah, it's Rome because it's like the Colosseum and stuff.
That's such a cool fight. And then the zero gravity fight in
that one's crazy.
Middle Earth is awesome.
In IMAX, I was getting like straight up VR, like
I know.
Disney World style, like thrill ride vibes.
And
I was
then
like, whoa, oh shit! I'm just in a theater and I'm feeling that.
the Rio de Janeiro fight is all right. It's a little bit like it's one monkey against 3 people. And he's a skinny monkey, Scar. But yeah. The other complaint I would say is the people. I just don't care for him. And I know Godzilla can have good, interesting characters because Godzilla -1 has like a really engaging story of the humans. I couldn't care less for these guys. Especially they're making my one issue is they're making jokes every scene. And it's like they're
It's
just
like
trying to get
forced.
one to land. And it's like,
Well,
okay.
and their purpose is to describe what Kong is thinking and doing.
Yeah,
And
they're
you're like,
exposition
okay, yeah.
machines. And so
And I mean, when like a point of character development is the fact that she got a haircut. Because you remember she makes like, I'm like, I got shorter hair. Oh yeah, they mentioned like 2 or 3 times. You're like, okay, all right. But again, it didn't bother me. Like it wasn't. Nothing took away. I felt like it was appropriately paced. I don't think I could. I don't think I would enjoy as much a movie of like full Kong and Godzilla. I feel like I would need some kind of commentary.
Yes, but what I mean by that is like, right? Interesting people. Like, have you seen Godzilla -1?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you like his story?
Not really.
No. Okay. Well, I did. I thought it was interesting. But yeah, like get me more intrigued than wacky scientist guy, crazy podcast guy, scientist and daughter.
And this wacky scientist guy, the guy, is like
Trapper,
the foremost dentist who like replaces a tooth, and then also just happens to have a fully functioning atomic arm to like fire up and help Kong out. That was definitely lazy, but it was just like good. I don't want to waste any time collecting this. Like, just keep in the action.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that because I was like, I don't need a 45-minute dedication to them going and then the shipping and logistics of getting that down there. Like, no.
Well, like in my opinion,
It's
I don't know.
already
Did
here.
you?
Great.
I did like Godzilla versus Kong. I liked those humans a little bit better. Like, you have Alexander Skarsgård. And then you still have the little girl, but I thought she was better without special powers when she was just like the girl that has a connection with Kong because they lived on the same island rather than she has psychic powers. And so I liked that crew, and I thought that one was more cohesive than this one.
I felt like the little girl's character development was strange because it opens the movie and she's like, I don't belong anywhere. All my people are dead. And then she finds her people. And then like her and her mom have like one conversation.
Yeah.
Like, wherever you go, I go. Okay. It's like a throwaway comment that a parent says.
But then they bring it back as an emotional
And then
moment.
it's like the next day they go down and they go and like experience all this. She finds all her culture. She's celebrated as like this fucking princess. She's like the prophecy girl.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want to go back to middle school with you. And it's like,
I
don't know about that. Like, you're down here with Kong, who like you have a huge connection with. Like, why?
And she kept asking, like, he's lonely. I want to go visit.
Yeah.
The whole movie, and then she's
I'm
just like,
nah, I want to go back to middle school. Like, what? What? I don't know, man.
Yeah, and then why was the podcast guy there?
To show the to show that some things need to be kept secret because he never posted his videos.
That's right.
So we don't need to film everything. I don't know.
I don't know. He, out of all the characters to bring back from
Why him?
Godzilla vs. Kong, not him. Would have been my opinion. You don't need to bring back Millie Bobby Brown either, but
Thank God.
Thank God.
I think she's been oversaturated. I don't know. I'm not sold on her as an actress, but I think she like 11 was I think a fun character, but it was like Stranger Things popped up and then she just is in everything, and I'm like, all right, I don't know about this, but
So Godzilla or Kong?
who do I prefer?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a fan of Kong. I feel like Kong has just every advantage. He's so mobile and athletic and can move so fast, and I feel like Godzilla. I don't really know where his power and strength comes from. Like
Radiation.
I get that, but like, like functionally, just like if you look at the physiology, I'm putting my money on Kong every day of the week if they're the same size. Like one has mini arms. I know his arms keep continually getting bigger
Yeah,
and longer.
his arms
They're
are now
decent,
like regular size.
but like nothing like Kong, and he
No.
certainly doesn't have the flexibility like Kong. And I don't know. I mean, Kong certainly can't swim like Godzilla can. But yeah, I'm taking Kong all day, and I think Kong is fight scenes with Kong. I think are more fun to watch. I think it's they're you can do more like creative shots versus Godzilla's like wrestle, charging up, man. Oh, slight miss. Okay, I'm gonna wrestle, charging up, man. Oh, it hit. Oh, I don't know. That's kind of my feeling versus Kong. I mean, he was like wall running this one. He was like hopping around, like you couldn't really
much more mobile.
Yeah, athletic.
I think they could do that with Godzilla. Like not make him mobile, but I think they could make his fights more interesting because if you go watch like the first one, him doing the atomic breath down the throat, like that was new and that was so cool. And they haven't really. It feels like they try and revisit it too much. Like they're like, "Oh, you remember this?" And it's like, "Okay, but show me like something else cool, right?" Because that was I do like how Godzilla fights because he's a lot more. He's not as mobile, so he has to be very
tactical.
He has to hit hard.
Yeah,
and that's what always makes it fun with his tail when he just whacks people.
Yep. But that again, it's like there's only one real move with that, like tailspin.
Yeah.
Tailspin.
I was sad with the zero gravity. That was a perfect chance for them to do the tail slide meme.
Dude, yes.
Where he kicks somebody, that would have been hilarious. I bet it was on like
I
an
bet
idea.
you they had it edited.
Yeah.
Twice.
And they're like
it's too
silly.
on the tongue.
Yeah. But so supposedly the director Adam Wingard is the guy who made this one. But he said that this one was definitely Kong's film, more Kong focused. But if he gets the chance to do a sequel, it's going to be more Godzilla focused version of this. So I'm down for that. Like I would love. Godzilla needs a solo movie. I think I get that they're a good team together, but I kind of do miss their solo movies. Like I want it to just be Godzilla and just be Kong.
Godzilla is too reckless. I mean, he destroys so much public property.
Well, that
like
whole
Kong,
last fight,
dude,
they were just destroying Rio.
Oh
like
my
Rio, they were
God.
jumping around, rolling, like fucking.
How many people died going through that? Also, I like how this subtle mention, like there's 4 Titans on Earth at any time, like any given time. There's like 6.
Yeah.
And then Godzilla goes right towards the one that like is apparently the greatest energy source on planet Earth. Okay, sure. Charges up, just sits in his bubble of energy, absorbing it, and like, okay, why didn't you stay in that? It's hard to find like the power cap of these beings, but.
And I mean, I hope they keep getting crazier because we haven't even touched really on the aliens and like Space Godzilla. Like, there's a whole planet, and they have names of like they're like called Zillans or something, Xylians. I don't know. There's like a whole race of aliens that Godzilla goes into. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I do hope we at least get Space Godzilla. That'd be cool. Space Godzilla is a clone of Godzilla.
I was gonna say, is that like Mecha Godzilla?
Kind of. He's an alien clone that has he has these huge crystals on his arm, on his shoulders, and he can like
Who
fly.
built it? An alien race?
I think. I don't know the full.
Or is it just
history.
like a rich, scary guy trying to take?
No, it's like the alien race got a hold of Godzilla's DNA and they make him or Destroya would be cool. Like some big villain would be cool. Like I loved Ghidorah. He was a cool villain. The 3-headed golden dragon. Yeah. Scar didn't reach that level of coolness for me.
I feel like he could have been, but I felt like they did so much time. Like they spent so much time of Kong trying to find his people. Like that was a huge chunk in the beginning. And then they show him and he comes out and he's kind of like, oh, he's got some swag. Oh, he hits hard. But it was kind of clear until he cheated that Kong was going to win.
Well, and the thing is like, that happens. Kong loses. supposedly Godzilla is charging up because he knows these monkeys are coming back, right? Like he's like pissed. He's like, I'm gonna beat these guys up. When he fights Scar, in the short moment they fight, Godzilla obliterates him. Like he tries to throw his little whip, Godzilla just catches it and breaks it, and it's like,
dude,
didn't even.
And it was like it took both Kong and him to kill him the first time, and it was like he didn't even have the slave ice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was all over the place from that perspective. But it's amazing how much visuals can carry a or just like good choreographed fights
and good motion capture. Like especially face-wise for Kong. Like those scenes, like you said, it's a lot of him looking for his family. In those scenes they don't really have people talking and like explaining his feelings and his thoughts. It's just his facial features and how he's expressing himself. And I love those. I thought those were great.
Yeah, he's growling.
With the little monkey, the little evil monkey. That's going to be that was probably my favorite part of the film, though.
And they start hucking him around as a weapon.
Because the trailers show this little monkey and you're like, oh, he's going to be he's going to be Godzilla's little baby. But then you learn that he's an evil little monkey and Godzilla uses him as a weapon.
Well, Kong uses him.
Or Kong, right? I mean. Yeah.
And it just shows you how durable these guys are. He's just like whack, 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 throws him across, and then he's like, and you're like, oh shit, I feel immediately bad.
Yeah,
but that was cool as hell. Crazy, man.
I'm glad they aren't making it too PG-13 too, as far as the fights and the gruesomeness. Like Godzilla, I think in the beginning we see a lot of blood. Like he hold a monster above him and like he rips him in half.
Scar is the homie, Malachi says.
Scar is the homie.
He had that lean, man.
He did. Walked out.
He had all the women.
All the women. And he kept the slaves moving rocks back and forth.
He got lazy. He lost his objective.
Muscles were atrophying.
Did you ever look up and figure out what the heck the moving of rocks was to signal?
They were building a pyramid supposedly that somehow I did not see.
Was it the volcano itself that they were building up?
They were trying to reach. I don't know what they were like. Online, it just said they were building a pyramid, and I was like, "All right, I don't know."
This world looked incredibly unstable. I mean, Kong found it not that long, and he's been down there for how long?
It's the subdermal layer of the inner Earth.
But like in Kong, so like they were in the
Hollow
subterranean,
Earth, and then they go into the subterranean of Hollow Earth.
But like in Hollow Earth, Kong could just look up and see the portals easily, but in subterranean you couldn't see that. But like all they had to get was to where Kong was in Hollow Earth, and then they would have been able to be, oh, that's where you get out.
Well, supposedly the crack didn't show up till recently, and that's why that distress signal was coming out. Is because the Iwi people knew that crack had happened.
Oh.
And so they were saying like,
Godzilla
come kill these monkeys.
So now I thought these people, the Iwi, I thought these people had a connection to Kong. Now they got a connection to Godzilla.
They have a connection to the Titans. Is
there a reason?
Understood.
They just
Ancient
pray really hard. They pray really hard.
They got psychic abilities.
They pray really hard. Yeah, Malachi says, no. They were moving rocks from one place to the next.
They were.
Hey, that's how you keep people busy. This is the same strategy that
keep
the
them
government
under your
takes.
thumb.
Exactly.
They don't have enough.
Them.
They're too tired to
with
think.
Work.
They're too tired to revolt.
Oh, what a wild movie. So good, though.
I know.
Good.
And it's doing good in the box office, so the hopes of us getting a sequel are pretty good, I would say. It beat Dune.
Let's talk about that. That's crazy to me.
I know.
Do you think Dune is affected negatively because Dune 1 came out at home? Because COVID hit. So you couldn't watch it. I guess you could watch it maybe. I don't know if theaters were open at that time. But.
Well, tell me this. I think Dune is a niche. Like, I don't think it has...
And Godzilla's not?
Not as much. I think Dune is a little more, like...
It's a sequel.
It's a sequel, and it's a niche of, like, you have to, like... You know, you have to see the first one, and then also you have to like this type of science fiction. Versus Godzilla's almost turning into like Fast 7, you know, like you could just go with your family to see it and
totally
you have fun.
Dude, what if Vin Diesel just shows up and fucking
that would be hilarious.
Family drive.
They had
fast.
a crossover of Godzilla and Kong versus the Justice League.
Oh boy.
Godzilla killed Superman for a little bit. Temporarily.
With his breath?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
So Godzilla wins.
Yeah, I think it probably like so. If I didn't watch Dune like a couple days before I went and saw Dune 2, I would have been probably totally lost. At least the way I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Knowing everything and how it trickles. I would say Dune 2 was better than Godzilla Kong. That you've seen it, right?
Yeah,
you with me.
I would agree. I think Dune 2 is better, but also I think that lends to that, like, I don't know if it'd be that way for everyone. Like I said, I think Dune is a lot more niche, and like if you can get into Dune to where you're like all about that the planet Dune, and you can get into the politics, and like
It's a lot of politics.
it's a lot of politics, but it's interesting when you can turn your brain to that. Like Game of Thrones, right? Like you can get into the political intrigue.
It's active listening versus passive listening.
Yeah, and
with
so
Kong.
I don't think most people can get into Dune like that. I think it takes a certain type of person. Versus Godzilla, I think, has an easier barrier to entry.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think Dune for me still was more enjoyable just because that story and I get into really like those stories that have a lot of depth to them and interesting politics and like shit comes
Well, and
from.
the lore is amazing. Like, I mean,
So amazing.
the thing is Godzilla's lore is cool, but in this MonsterVerse film, it's not. They're
Smashing.
giving us little drip feeds of like, oh yeah, by the way, this Iwi people that you've never heard of, they've been best friends with any of the Titans, and they basically are best. You know, they can talk to them.
They send a signal, and they got better technology. Okay.
And
Yet their entire civilization perished at one tsunami.
Yeah. And so it's like
it was like, wait, huh?
But it's like if they were to go into, they have tons of monsters and cool lore in Godzilla that I know they're just scratching the surface of. Like they could go deep. We don't even have Jet Jaguar.
Do we have an Origins movie like with the like not Godzilla, not Kong, like an Origins with like the Titans? And this that would be kind of an interesting movie.
Cool.
And maybe it ends with you kind of like with it alluding to Godzilla and Kong or whatever, but like it sets up the Iwi people, it sets up the Titans and who they are and what their connection to Earth is and why they're here and are they aliens, are they not? That'd be kind of an interesting movie.
I would love that if it was like about. Got my brain juices flowing now. You could have the movie be like about. It would be a little bit of Godzilla's origin along with Kong of like shows their parents and then how they died and then how they became, because Godzilla, as far as we know, is the last of his kind, and Kong is, well, he was until he found these other monkeys. But it would be cool to see the Great War between the Kongs and the Godzillas that supposedly happened that we learned about in Godzilla versus Kong. Is they were like there was a huge war and they all killed each other. I would love to see that. That would be cool.
Yeah, it would.
Imagine like hundreds of Godzillas versus hundreds of King Kongs
on their own planet, so it's like built for it, perfect. What would that civilization look like? What do they hunt? What do they eat?
Yeah, eat each other.
Holy shit. I like that. Isn't the TV show like that, Malachias? Is there a Godzilla TV show?
Yes. So, the TV show is more, it's called Monarch.
Okay. Yeah, I know that.
And it does kind of explore like the origins, but it's more of like, I don't know, it's more the origins of Monarch itself, the monster. I don't even know what they are, but they watch monsters. Like they're the people who know about Titans besides the Iwis. It's kind of more the origin of that. I only watched a couple episodes. I didn't finish it because it was all right. It didn't hook me super fast.
Was it the visuals or the storytelling?
Storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could bite you in the ass, man.
And I was waiting for Kurt Russell, and he didn't show up yet. So.
Who put on this production?
HBO Max.
Okay. You see, HBO has it figured out, too. They got a winning model.
I mean, I'll go watch it more probably, but yeah, I just couldn't get into it yet. But I think that I'm pretty sure it was just about the origins of Monarch. Correct me if I'm wrong, Malachi, if you watched it more of it, but I think it was just Monarch or origins of Monarch.
Hmm. Well,
but I would love to see that ancient King Kong versus Godzilla fight. That'd be cool.
that would be sick, dude. Like unpower capped. Like, what if obviously we've seen Godzilla and Kong both get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What if like you just get bigger with age, and the ancients are just even bigger?
Well, that'd be cool.
That'd be crazy.
And
it's the size of planets. Like they jump off a planet and the fucking planet goes the other way because they are so big.
So big. They could even do.
It's on Apple TV. He said.
Oh, it is Apple TV. Which is weird.
Which is why it sucks then.
Godzilla versus Kong, or Godzilla and Kong are HBO properties.
Maybe
Apple made a deal with HBO.
On Kong,
Legendary.
and Godzilla,
I guess
that's
Legendary
strange.
is who owns Kong.
Okay.
And I think Legendary is a WB.
Maybe they're a primary shareholder in Apple TV or something like that. There's always like incestuous
all that weird
goings.
stuff.
Yeah.
He said he's never seen it.
Yeah.
So. But yeah. They could even have a human story of like cavemen. If they want to add humans.
I don't think you need to.
The Iwis.
I feel like I always felt like with Transformers they should have done something similar.
They are. That's the newest one that's going to come out.
You're right. It's on
Cybertron.
Cybertron. You're right. I feel like it's about time.
Forever.
Because to me, it's like kind of the same concept, right? You have these like mystical things. They're here on Earth. What's going on? Well, we're here to protect. You know, it's like, okay, but what? Why?
There's an ancient war on my planet.
Exactly.
We lost. Oh.
So we came here to fuck it all up.
We're hiding here.
So now we're going to get... No, I would love to see what the budget for this film is.
See, okay, but I think it would probably be easier to justify to like shareholders Cybertron movie than Godzilla, because Cybertron, they already talk. And I think shareholders are scared of movies where people don't talk.
I would think so. They made a Kong movie years ago where it was like it wasn't Kong. It was that big gorilla.
King Kong?
No,
with Jack Black?
No. It wasn't that. It was like I'm gonna have to look it up.
Kong Skull Island?
No, it was nothing part of this universe. It was just a big gorilla. And he was just like, they had to hide him away. I don't remember the movie. If anyone in the chat remembers this movie.
It's not King Kong?
I don't think, no, I don't think.
Black?
No, I don't think he went by King Kong at all. He went by like Ben or something like that.
Oh, that's not King Kong then. That's
what I know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But they made that movie and it followed him around. And from what I remember, it's been decades. Was it Ben?
It might have been, but
you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about now, yeah.
Because he was big and he was a gorilla.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Kong.
It wasn't Kong.
Yeah, a little on the nose,
yeah.
but it followed him around. There wasn't much talking. And then you remember another animal movie, the horse one, Spirit. You remember that? Rampage? No, it wasn't Rampage, I don't think.
No.
We'll look it up.
I'll look it up here.
But they made Spirit that had no talking, and I don't think people liked that either. It was like one of those, oh, that was really creative. Now let's never talk about it again.
Well, see, I think, was it Mighty Joe Young?
Yes, Mighty Joe. I knew it was like a simple name. Mighty Joe.
Before we get too far, I wanted to see if you've noticed. Did you notice they've never called in this new Kong Godzilla? They've never called him King Kong.
You're right.
They don't have the
He's
right.
He's not a king.
No,
wait.
They don't have. It's weird. I don't get it.
So you're saying this is Mighty Joe?
This is Kong.
Oh, are they somehow getting away with that?
They can call him Kong, but they can't call him King Kong for some weird reason.
What can they do the same with the Incredible Hulk? Do they just reference him as the Incredible Hulk every single time?
I don't know.
Amazing Hulk?
It's weird though, right?
Harambe is something cool gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harambe reincarnated.
Mighty Joe Young had a lot of talking.
It's been so damn
because it had Bill Paxton, Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
They wouldn't waste those people.
When did this come out? 1998, man. I remember that film. It was such a goofy. It was fun though. I liked it. Okay, Transformers 7, I guess, which is the Cybertron movie. I'm assuming. I think.
Yes.
$200 million budget, which actually today seems pretty conservative. Considering that they've already had movies. The Revenge of the Fallen was $400 million. That was the budget. Whew. Yeah, we could have had a guest tonight, Daniel. You want to come on over? How we doing, Daniel? Good to see you in the chat. We're talking about movies, and we're talking about Transformers now. I guess Cybertron getting an origin story, and it'd be cool to bring that to the MonsterVerse.
And
just to set up the Titans, because I think there is, and maybe they want to play on that, like, because they can go a lot more direction. But I feel like, at least for someone who's not even remotely studied into the MonsterVerse, the origins of the Titan, they make no sense to me. It's almost like, a demon spawns on Earth, and then Godzilla goes and kills it. Like, that is my interpretation of it. And I just kind of go along with it because it looks cool, and I guess it doesn't really matter.
I like giant monsters that fight.
Maybe there isn't. Dude, this MonsterVerse is decades old. They have to have some kind of writing on this or some history.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope.
Yeah, right?
But maybe for like the MonsterVerse origin story, what if, you know how they got into like the Iwi have like psychic kinetic communication? What if they did the monsters psychokinetic talk to each other? Then you can
there was subtitles?
Talking. No, it was like voiced by people. You had like, follow me.
What if they gave Kong like a little girl's voice?
Hello.
Hey, want to be my friend?
That would be funny.
That would be so lame.
I hope they would.
Mothra would have to be like Kate Blanchett or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like some powerful
sounding
OG,
woman.
You know, that's played some badass characters. Then they'd have to have like
Godzilla could be like Darth Vader.
You'd have to add some effects to Godzilla, I feel like. Just because King Kong doesn't feel like an alien. Godzilla feels like an alien. So you'd have to add something there.
Yeah.
Kong could just be like just the absolute like epic, Optimus Prime style voice.
You could have Kong be
Ron Perlman would be perfect.
As who?
I'm assuming Kong.
As Kong, or Christopher Judge, the guy that did Kratos.
Oh, perfect.
Right?
Perfect.
Boy.
Yes.
Ooh, that'd be good. Yeah, and for Godzilla you need some type of like modulator or some type of like to make him sound otherworldly.
I've been smoking for 35
That would
years,
be horrible.
And now this is my voice.
He's like, "Come on, Kong. We need to beat up the other guys." Kong's like,
I have to talk like this now. Ron Perlman would be sick, actually. I feel like Ron Perlman should be in more.
He should. What?
I don't know what I feel like everything he does is so good, and he's got like this iconic look about him. I don't know what it is. He just looks so masculine, and he was the one that did Hellboy, right?
He was
Hellboy. Like, those are so good.
Well, from
maybe
what
it's just from maybe he doesn't want to do as much as he could, but
from what I know, he is very biased to work with Guillermo del Toro. Like Pacific Rim, Guillermo del Toro. All the Hellboys, Guillermo del Toro.
What was he in Pacific Rim?
He's the black market dealer.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
He has. It's not even real. It's like a cameo almost. He's not really in that film.
He's
because they go to his bunker, right, to hide, and then he comes out, and then he gives him some tips. Like,
and he gets eaten.
It's like like 30 minutes, I guess. I don't know.
You know, technically, the Pacific Rim is owned by Legendary.
I would have figured. It's the same fucking thing.
MonsterVerse
and what do they call those?
Jaegers.
Jaegers.
That would be cool. Although they can't.
Dude, a Jaeger versus Godzilla. Come on.
Well, and the Jaegers are too small.
Way too small.
Godzilla's huge, and Kong.
They're gonna need like triple piloted Jaegers to handle that much power,
that much brain load.
Or just more badasses that could control. I don't really, honestly.
I don't have faith in to make another good Pacific Rim.
Me neither. I honestly think it's kind of a weird concept.
I love the concept. The first film it's still like top film for me, but that second one ruined so much. So much good faith the first one had. The first one had flavor, had substance. I don't know why Guillermo was like, nah, I don't want to do the second one. I'm gonna work on The Way of Water or whatever. Didn't he won an award for that?
For what?
The Way of Water.
Avatar?
No, he made a movie.
Is it Avatar 2, A Way of Water? Isn't that the name of the movie?
It's probably called that. But there's a movie called The Way of Water, or The Way. Let's see.
Do you know The Way? How's everybody doing tonight in chat? What up, Kyle? The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water. Yes. And it's like this love story between...
If you're tuning in, guys, give us a like on the stream. It really helps the algorithm.
Yes, please do. It's a love story between the Black Lagoon monster and a girl. Like a human.
Okay.
Like, that's a movie. And I think it won...
That's the same trope as Beauty and the Beast.
It is, yeah.
It's been done. It's been perfected.
Let's see.
Why can't it be what about A Boy and a Beast?
It was nominated. I don't think it won, but it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress. And so that's what Guillermo did instead of Pacific Rim 2.
So who did 2?
Some loser.
Some offbeat. Well, I'll tell you, I thought both of them were...
Watch it be Adam Wingard.
I thought both of them were fine. I didn't walk away from either and go, that was amazing. It just, there's no way that version of Jaeger's, because the problem too was that they were like always out of money, and they could never do anything like really cool. Yeah. And it was like always so desperate. Okay, I don't know who that is.
He did Spartacus, and that's his claim to fame.
The TV series Spartacus?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, all right. I couldn't get into Spartacus. I know some people who freaking loved it. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I saw 300 and I felt like I was good. I don't know. Like, I felt like the whole Jaeger thing, like they were constantly on the verge of shutting down the Jaeger program. Like, I want to see something fully funded, like Jaeger's ready to go.
And invade their planet. That would have been dope.
Dude, that would be sick. Going aggressive.
Instead, they made the second film. And now we're never.
Well, now we know there's like a hollow Earth and then the subterranean. What about like in the oceans? It's got to like that's literally the same concept as the Meg. Have you seen that where they like go below the Marianas Trench and there's like big fish down there, big octopus, giant squid. We gotta go.
Hollow Earth.
You gotta go deep. Hollow water.
So what's gonna be inside of the subterranean level of Hollow Earth? Third layer?
Yeah, Inception.
The core?
It's going to be, Leonardo DiCaprio dreaming.
Whoa.
I'm 3 levels deep, man. Where am I? Man.
I'm excited, though. I'm so happy we're getting these movies because I just can't get enough giant monsters, like fighting. It's my favorite. And I'm eating good. We got Godzilla -1. We got this one.
And apparently, if Transformers Cybertron is only going to cost $200 million, maybe this stuff's finally getting cheaper. And they don't have to spend $500 million to make a 2-hour film.
And it's going to be... watch them throw humans in somehow. They'll be like, we're going to have time-traveling main characters. That way we have our self-insert of humans for you.
It's so crazy how much money these things cost.
I know. Well, and then you look at Godzilla X Kong, right? And with the budget for that was $135 million, I think.
The one we just watched was $135?
I think that's what I read, yeah.
Well, that's really awesome because Godzilla versus Kong a couple years ago, that was $400 million.
Really?
Yes. Because I memed on it on our stream. Because I was like, do movies really cost this much? Like, are we really spending this much for just...
135. Yeah, 135.
135. Look up what the last one was. Not the -1, but the one
470 million.
Yeah. So maybe we have had like some kind of breakthrough where we're finally getting a little cheaper.
That's like half.
Less than half. That's like a third. And I feel like this was higher quality.
Was it Millie Bobby Brown?
Millie Bobby Brown,
And
we're going to pay
Alexander
you $170
Skarsgård?
million.
They were the ones that were like,
That's huge. You're telling me this movie that we just watched, this 2-hour film, costs $135 million.
yeah.
Sign me the fuck up.
Well, and then you look at Godzilla Minus One, 15 million. And that one, yes, you can tell it's lower budget, but heck, it looks good. It still looks great, and you can ignore it.
Something Cool Gaming says, dude, it's crazy how good the CGI is in the first few Transformers from like 20 years ago.
Yes.
Oh my God. We talk about it all the time. That was the first time. CGI was always a thing. First time that I saw it where it was like, oh my God, blew your pants off. It was
I know.
so good. When you see that first transition of Optimus Prime and all the parts and like the oil filter flips out and like it's all transforming, you're like, this is incredible. We're in the future.
And then it was followed by Iron Man 2008, which has amazing practical and CGI.
Mhm.
Like I'll go back and watch it and I can't tell the difference when they're using CGI and not.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's 20 years ago, man. You're absolutely right. That's 20 years ago.
So it was probably metal was easier, huh? And that's why like Iron Man and Transformers looked good
Light on texture, right?
versus
shiny.
flesh.
Oh, dude, flesh
Like
is
Godzilla
still,
and Kong.
Yeah.
Like that's why Godzilla, and Kong, and even Pacific Rim a little bit. All their fights are at nighttime because it's less diffusion of light. I think.
Light is the easiest thing. Like you see in video games, like in Unreal Engine, every single update they're getting better with lighting, better with lighting. It's so hard to do.
Well, yeah, you go look at Godzilla King of the Monsters. All of his fights are like obscured by some type of weather effect because to makes it easier on him. You know, now they must be getting to the point where
that's insane. I think why isn't more people talking about that? That 2-hour movie, basically 100% CGI of top-notch CGI, cost 1/3 of what the movie did a few years before that.
And the studio must be like,
yeah, it worked. Proof of concept. I don't. Maybe this technology is getting. Maybe AI helped with this. I don't know. I just feel like that's significant difference.
Yeah,
dude, that's You said it was 470.
470.
That's like 350. That's like $340 million difference.
And it's already made opening weekend.
It's already cleared its. Yeah, it's already made its nut back.
That's crazy. Imagine how long it took for Godzilla versus Kong to make its money back.
We're gonna start seeing some crazy shit. I mean, that's getting down. This is like a AAA production. Now there's like good director, decent cast. Like there was some heavy hitting casts on there. Heavy hitting.
Heavy hitting.
Is that the right term?
I don't know about that.
Middle hitting, middleweight, maybe lightweight.
There's one middleweight.
There's like that lady.
The lady. And then other than that, they're like.
With the podcaster, could have put us in there, man.
We could have been.
We could have. Viewers, you guys didn't write in. That's your fault. Be sure to like and subscribe, please. Hit that bell notification.
Forward our podcast to Legendary and tell us we could be a better podcast than.
Yeah. No, but not some heavy hitters. I don't know why. I mean, the dentist was pretty. No, I'm kidding.
He's a famous actor, right?
Might have been his first movie. No, but like. That's a difference of 300. You can make this movie 2 more times.
Well, I think I'm really into visual effects artists react with Corridor Digital on YouTube, and so I watch those videos a lot. And just seeing the progress of the technology is increasing, and then I can only imagine, like you have the movie Avatar 2, right? Way of Water, and the amount of money that they pour into that to come up with new technology. I'm sure that gets shared easily with other companies, which we benefit from because it makes it cheaper.
Yes.
Like the water effects.
They're always consulting groups. Yeah.
The water effects, like what we have Weta Digital, we have Industrial Light and Magic. Those ILM, those are the 2 that I know by name, like CGI big companies. And I'm sure they share. They probably do have stuff that's like, this is only what we can offer to your film. But I'm sure like water physics and stuff like that, they're like, here you go, open source.
Yeah, it's like it just becomes known.
Yeah.
Right? And now they have like all these assets on Kong at this point, so they can repurpose them.
And Godzilla.
And Mothra now, and like now they can kind of rope that in and continue to make. I mean, I am blown away that this is $135 million. I mean, we're talking if that trend keeps up.
See, that would be good.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I would.
Matthew McConaughey in the next one.
All right.
What if he voices Kong?
Come on, Kong.
Kong is just like this hella chill beach bum. And he's like, all right.
He's kind of blonde now. He's kind of a blonde Kong.
Got a little hat on, you know?
Yeah. Hey, Godzilla.
I want to find Kong a girlfriend, man.
Yes.
Just cheeked up in the hollow earth.
What about Godzilla? Godzilla got no family.
Nothing, bro.
Got nothing.
And he's just angry, spitting flames.
Yeah, he's just angry all the time. He's like, I need to beat another bitch up. That's his whole arc.
That's his whole arc.
Like, and somebody else for me to beat up, I guess.
All right. Come on down. Let's throw some fists.
Come on, Godzilla.
Bro, just chill.
Zilly
Come
Willy.
with me into the hollow earth.
You'd be like Zilly Willy. Have nicknames for Godzilla.
Yo, Z-Man.
Z-Man.
Come down to hollow earth with me.
Okay.
Oh, you want to fight? Oh.
If you got Matthew McConaughey as Kong, who do you have as Godzilla in that
Jackie
duo?
Chan.
Jackie
Chan is Godzilla. Lindsay Lohan. Oh no.
Lindsay
Lohan is Godzilla? No.
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 Please, no.
No.
I was thinking like you could have Forrest Whitaker.
What about like Stephen Hawking's like text to speech? That's
Hello.
Godzilla.
Godzilla. You have somebody totally like you just have Dwight from The Office.
Dude. That would be so just average.
Right? You'd be like
it would I don't know. I don't know, man.
Eddie Murphy, Malachi says.
Eddie Murphy is that would be wild.
Come on, Trek.
Is that Dr. Doolittle? he talks to Godzilla too. Oh, Lindsay Lohan is his girlfriend. Okay, so it's Kong's girlfriend. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So like a Black Widow Hulk kind of thing here, huh?
You got Matthew
He's
McConaughey.
getting pounded away. All right. Boom.
Let's just make full on porn
Okay. Like cross
with these
species.
movies now.
Oh shit. Well, you know we're coming up on the hour here, but I want to dive into Guild Wars 3.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
All right, folks. Obviously, this is a Guild Wars podcast. It's a Mass Effect podcast. We talk about the games that we love, the games that have captured us over the years of our lives. NC Soft is the parent company for ArenaNet, and they had a slip-up at their shareholder meeting.
Uh-oh.
Just the worst. I mean, ArenaNet is plagued with like the worst marketing ever. Ever. And they just subtly dropped the mention that like, hey, they're working on Guild Wars 3. And so now it's like spun into this whole thing, and the forums are kind of going wild, and it's split the audience of like, oh, great, and oh, no, sad for Guild Wars 2. I'm kind of in the camp of, it doesn't really make sense for them to create a new MMO to compete with themselves.
Well, so did they confirm it, or is it still conjecture? Like, did they eventually come out after that and say...
NCSoft said that, the original statement, which is ArenaNet is working on a Guild Wars 3. And ArenaNet says they always have stokes in the fire or whatever. And they're always like, but their comment was, it was very corporate. Like, but we're really excited to hear about, we're still really excited to bring the next couple expansions to Guild Wars 2. So Guild Wars 2 has a committed to pipeline for the next few years.
Uh-huh.
But we are coming up on the 20th anniversary of Guild Wars 1. And we know, if you've been a fan of the series at all, and I know Something Cool Gaming, I know you probably remember this era, but they diverted like 300 developers from ArenaNet for like 2 years to go and work on a project. This is Ritlock Grimstone. And then they abandoned it. And no one ever knew what it was for. And they said it was another title or whatever, new IP or whatever. But everyone assumed it was like a Guild Wars 3. So here's my thoughts on it. I don't think they should come out with a Guild Wars 3 because it's ultimately just going to compete with their product. I think what they should do is come out with something new and fresh. That's kind of like stands on its own. No, it could be in the Guild Wars universe.
Okay.
But make it something like a prequel.
First-person shooter.
No, it's gonna be a fucking Diablo Immortal port to mobile gaming and just be Gamba. Guild Wars 7. Yeah, that's what they need to do. But no, it'd be cool. Like the universe for Guild Wars is amazing. I feel like it would be really cool to get like a prequel to Guild Wars and have like the origin stories of when like the Char and humans fought, and this is the Char, and
they're evil.
Not in Guild Wars 2. They're your allies. There's like friction between them and the humans. Always there's like
it's like the Turians.
Yeah, exactly. But you kind of like come together to kill dragons.
Turians,
literally. So basically, you have the Char. Were always at war with the humans, and they were trying to like encroach on their lands, and then that's what Guild Wars 1 is all about. Like the Char, or prophecies at least, the Char find a way to break through the wall, the Great Northern Wall, and invade the Ascalon homelands and kill everybody. And so like Ascalon is displaced, and then all these Ascalonians are like finding their home. So is that a PC exclusive game? Well, let's talk about that. So Guild Wars was an MMO that competed with World of Warcraft. It came out in 2005 and then 2006 and then 2007 as well. They had all their expansions done by then, and then they came out with Eye of the North in 2008 maybe. Yeah, maybe 2008, 2009. I don't remember. And then Guild Wars 2 came out in 2012. So it was pretty quick when they launched these new games. And Guild Wars 2, when it launched, competed directly with Guild Wars 1. So let's talk about is it going to be a PC? There's no way in my mind that it's only going to be PC. There's zero chance.
Yeah.
You cannot launch a title these days and leave out that audience of console players.
And especially now with the ability of crossplay.
Yes. And that's what I was just going to say. When back in the day when you had you wouldn't want to create 3 instances of your game.
Yeah, that was hard enough
You
already.
want a shared community experience. They did it with Diablo 4, which is not an MMO by any means, but Guild Wars 1 wasn't. Guild Wars 1 people would say is not an MMO. It's an RPG. It's an online RPG. Because everything is instance combat. Like you don't do anything together. Like it just doesn't happen. It's like there's no open world. There's just towns and hubs. Everything is instance. And so I'd like to see them go more towards that model and like maybe go with prequel and kind of have some fun. But there's been a lot of discussion online, a lot of ideas of people talking of what is and what isn't going to be. A lot of people who are saying like Guild Wars 2 combat is too difficult, which I would say it's not too. It definitely has a high learning curve, but the problem is Guild Wars 2 does so bad at like letting you know that you're bad at the game.
Oh, okay.
So bad. So the player base just sucks. Generally speaking, they're very casual because the game is built to be like a game that you play for 2 hours like a week. Like it's a very casual game. There's no gear grind. You never fall behind. Uh-huh. Like if I were to I haven't bought the last couple expansions. If I bought these expansions, I'd be right where everybody is. I could play the builds and do all the stuff. Like there's no gear grind. It's all achievements and just kind of getting immersed in the gameplay and stuff and that high fantasy. So I don't know like what it'll look like. I think they need to kind of go totally creative or a remake of Guild Wars 1, which I don't know if I'm really even jazzed about. All I know is whatever they do, I'm going to play. Because I love the philosophy of the studio so far. They've made 2 great games. So I imagine their third game is going to be great. I mean, they have a track record. Yeah. They have a 20-year track record of making great games.
You know who also did, right?
Blizzard.
BioWare.
Yeah. Yeah, but how many games were good before they sucked?
Like 5.
3. Oh, 5?
Star
I got
Wars.
a couple more. Yeah. So I got a couple more before they're going to suck.
You'll be fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm curious. Something Cool Gaming. I know you're a huge G-Dub fan. If you want to talk in the chat of what, if you're excited for it or not. The announcement hit me like crazy because there's been at the 15-year anniversary of Guild Wars 1, they came out with some new skills and some interesting stuff, and it like they came out with like a couple new skills and some tweaks, and they had to add server capacity because so many people came flooding back in.
Wow.
Wooden Potatoes is a content creator for Guild Wars series, and he did a video on an update where they increased the LOD, like how far you can see objects in the distance. And like 250,000 people watched that video, which he usually gets like 10, 12,000 views.
Wow.
250,000 people watch that video. So like there's so much energy and love around this game. Like people to this day say that game ruined them for certain things. The philosophy of that game, it was just so fantastic.
Well, it sounds like it's an old school type of developer of they make the game to be fun.
Yep.
Versus how can we monetize this?
Mm-hmm. And Guild Wars 2 was so different from Guild Wars 1 that a lot of the Guild Wars 1 fan base was let down.
Yeah, well, like you...
They have a cash shop.
I don't know if you were let down, but you definitely like 1 more?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I still dumped thousands of hours into 2, but Guild Wars 1, I think objectively, in my opinion, is a better game. Guild Wars 2, like if you look at the systems, you can't compare gameplay. Guild Wars 2, I think, has the greatest gameplay of any game I've ever played. I will say that. I think Guild Wars 2, hands down, has the best gameplay of any game I've ever played. The systems and the combat, the animations, the mechanics of it all, it is incredibly deep, incredibly interested, and incredibly immersive. It is so intuitive, not intuitive, but like, I guess immersive. Yeah, it's just immersive. Like there's an evade mechanic that you can dodge everything in the game, and the timing is really tight. So it feels like it plays like a Souls game almost. And then you get these large scale battles and stuff like that. But for me, and Guild Wars 2 does a good job of their open world. They do like cool events and stuff like that. But I don't really just like I'm not a big fan of like open world stuff. I like really good.
I think
good instanced
open world can work,
content.
but the world has to be. I've always liked it. If you're going to do open world, make it smaller but full of stuff, not massive.
Well, Guild Wars 2 has a massive open world, and there's it still has like probably an active player base of like 50,000 to 100,000 players. So you'll see people regularly running through the world, but for me, it's like when there's a world boss event or a large scale event going on and you get 15, 20, 30 people all doing the event, your individual participation starts to fade. Like they have this event that I always think of, like it's Tequatl, the Sunless or something like that. And it's such a cool event. It's this huge bone dragon boss that lands into this ocean and shoots out this shockwave, and you have to like get these turrets to pin it down, and then you pin it down, and you go and you do damage, and you kill it, and you get good loot, and it was on like a 3-hour timer or something like that. But it was such a big boss and such a large scale world event that when you get to play the game and you're playing with your, by yourself or with friends, like your individual participation is just so muted because you're like, okay, I'm not really doing anything here. I'm like, I can do my perfectly clean rotation, or I could spam one, and the success rate is going to be the same. So
something cool gaming.
I'm ready for a reset. I get burnout I got burnout after a game has a bunch of expansions, new mechanics, and skills. D2 is the same example for me. Oh, okay. I didn't know you played Diablo 2. That's interesting. D2? Oh, are you saying Destiny 2? I think you probably mean Destiny 2, because I don't think you played Diablo.
Yeah, I can feel that, like burnt out.
I agree.
Especially like Destiny 2, the last expansion that I played, Last Light or whatever it was called, I forget already. That's how much impact it had on me.
Right.
It just felt like
rinse repeat.
It felt like rinse repeat, and it felt like lazy. Not lazy. Yeah, just it needs something fresh, a new fire, which I get that, something cool gaming. But what do you think the biggest change for Guild Wars 3 would be? Like, what do you think they would update? Besides, if they do console and crossplay.
What they need to do, ArenaNet is amazing at introducing content that's like fun, and they do a good job. But what they don't, what they fucking sucked at in Guild Wars 2 is, yeah, he meant Destiny 2. That's what I thought. What they sucked at is they would introduce like this new concept, and then they would abandon it and like move on to something different. So they came out with a core game, and then they were like, all right, here's the game. We got dungeons. And then you're like, oh, cool. We're going to get more dungeons. And then they came out with like Aether Blade with this, like this elite path. That was like a really tough dungeon. You're like, oh, cool. We're going to get, more dungeons as time goes on. And there's like this living world.
Heart dungeons, normal dungeons.
Yeah. Abandoned the dungeons. And then they came out with a thing called like fractals, which is the same fucking thing, but it like has like a central hub. And then they added this mechanic called agony, which you had to have a certain resistance, so you couldn't do the highest tier fractals. And it was like dungeons plus. It was a lot more difficult. And then they came out with fractals, and then they fucking completely like abandoned that, and they went years without updating that and moved on to other systems. And it was like, okay. And then so like, they don't introduce any new skills or anything during the base game. And they introduce, like, the first expansion comes out, and they come out with this new model. Okay, hey, we're going to have new elite specializations. And so you're like, oh, cool, we're going to play the new elite specializations. So it's like a new stat line in your class. And you go and you play the class, and then they kind of like, they actually stuck with that model. But then they introduced raids, and then they never supported raids. Like, they dropped, like, 7 raid wings since like 2014. So like they came out with 4 in like the first year, or 5 in the first year.
Wow.
And then they just completely abandoned because they realized what percentage of player base. Because again, combat in Guild Wars 2 is incredibly deep, but you can also kind of cheese it. And raids were such a high skill gap that like a very small percentage of players ever did them, because it was very difficult to know you were bad, and all the good players only wanted to play with other good players because they didn't have time to carry these pugs through it. So it was like this weird time where they would just like come out with content and abandon it, and then it just was silly. It'd probably be a whole new game. Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 are very different, so can't tell what 3 would be like. That's what Something Cool Gaming says. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what they're...
Third person over the shoulder.
Yeah, dude, if they came out with a shooter, that'd be crazy.
No, not a shooter, just melee combat, like God of War. That could work, I think.
I mean, they actually have like what's called they have an action mode in Guild Wars where it turns the game into that, which is
really
it's actually pretty cool. It turns it into like a first person, like action, It's actually, that's exactly the mode it is. It's kind of interesting, and some people, like, I'll watch them stream, they play in that, and I'm like, oh my God, how the fuck do you do that? Because so much of it is like status effects on the ground and paying attention.
Yeah, seeing what you have.
Yeah. Huh. So I don't know. I mean, I could go in a million directions. All I know is I'm excited that ArenaNet needs a new challenge. They've been kind of fizzling. So I guess here's another thing, Something Cool Gaming, that we should talk about. Over the past few years, they've had job openings, career openings on their website, and the hardcore fans are always checking the job postings to see what's going on. They've been hiring Unreal Engine devs for the last few years now. Ooh. So their next project's probably going to be, because they've been basically dragging this game engine. They're using the same game engine from Guild Wars 1. They just heavily modified it. And so now they're abandoning that game engine and developing on Unreal Engine. So that's going to be a really fresh, new experience. That'll be cool.
Like Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm curious.
I'm a little excited to at least give it a try, because I never played 1 or 2. I've only known about it from Billy, and I think 3 would be a big enough deal for me to get it, like to dive into it and try it out.
I don't think you would like Guild Wars 2 that much. The story is mid. It was like, some people really simp over the story, and then other diehard story fans are like, it's pretty average. I would say it was average. it's like your typical hero, and you're going and you're a commander of an army, and you go and you save the day,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what you do, and you rally all these groups together, and there you go. It's a
Boom.
typical story. Um, the story of like the dragons is actually pretty cool. Like they basically give like the dragons sort of give it the world energy, but then like when you kill them, you release that energy into the world, so it becomes like even more vibrant. And so like there's like this balance of okay, but like the dragons like store this energy, so like there's this like decision making that goes going on of like what side should we be on? Like what are we doing? Are we thinking about this?
Yeah.
And some of the dragons are really cool, and like the fights are fucking insane. Like there's this fight called Dragon Stand, and the campaign finishes, and you like go inside of a dream, and you like kill the elder dragon. But like the real fight is this open world meta event, and it's actually hell fun. It splits. It's the first of its kind. It's called Dragon Stand, and you need like a full map of people. So I think like probably a couple hundred players.
Wow.
And there's 3 lanes, and you have to split up the lanes, and you have to progress each lane at the roughly the same time. And then there's mechanics that you have to do in time together. So like people are communicating in chat when to trigger certain things and do about it. And it's like all this mind, and then you get to this final battle, and you're fighting this fucking floating dragon, and there's all these different platforms that he's eating and destroying, and you're flying to all these different platforms as with hundreds of people trying to kill this. It is such an epic battle. It's so much fun. So you might like that. You probably would like the combat a lot. The story would be mid, but like the whole social element of the game, it's not a game that you could solo the story, and you could basically solo all the open world stuff where you're exploring around. But if you want to do any like the content in the game, it's all instance based and would require you to meet up with people.
Story overhaul is what Something Cool Gaming says.
Yeah, definitely need a story overhaul. The core was trash.
Expansion trophies?
Yeah, I don't know. That might be a typo, but trophies. I don't know what that is, but yeah, the core game was so basic. And then, but the expansions, the one I'm talking about is the Heart of Thorns, which totally changed the game and set the tone. But I mean, oh my God, ArenaNet has just, I mean, they came out with guild halls, abandoned those immediately. And like, we only got 2 guild halls. In the first game, there's like 40 guild halls. It's just crazy to me. Like how much, I just got a message from my old guild leader in Guild Wars 2 that they just killed Ceres, which is that fight that I was telling you.
Oh, okay.
They spent 53 hours progressing as a team after watching the teams who had already did it. They're like the 3rd team in North America to beat it.
Wow.
Congrats to them. Anyway, I love this series so much. I think you would like 1 better because it is much more RPG. Like it is an online RPG, and it's much less online these days because there's just, I mean, you're not gonna see hundreds of people running around. But yeah, I'm if they ever come out with it, I will definitely beg you guys to play with me.
Are there romance options?
No.
No?
There's a lot of like romances going on, but you're pretty much a solo rider. Yeah.
Fuck.
You can get buy wedding outfits and get married in the game.
Oh, I'm sure there's probably tons of stories of people getting
literally-
married and then meeting in real life and then
People literally host weddings.
jeez.
Literally host weddings. There's like fireworks and stuff. Role playing is real in that game. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited. I hope they're working on number 3 cuz I feel like at certain times in certain games it's like if they get too old, it's harder for me to go back and play them versus if I played them when they came out and I want to go back and revisit, that's easier. But like choosing an old game to play, that's harder for me.
Yeah. Well, and like again, they've gotten cookie cutter with their model at this point. I mean, the game is 12 years old, Guild Wars 2.
Uh-huh.
And so every expansion now is like, okay, they come out with maybe a new fractal. They come out with 3 chapters, of the story, and then like a new map or 2, and that's that. That's their expansion, and maybe some new mechanics like new mount, whatever. But it's just like that's what it is now. That's the game.
Yep.
It's
That's
not going
their
to evolve beyond
rotation.
that. Yeah. So that's why you need a Guild Wars 3 or whatever the hell they want to call it. I think calling it Guild Wars 3 would be a mistake, but
how would so if we started Guild Wars 3, right? Me, you, and Kyle. Would 3 be a good number for the team, or would we want more people? Like, would we want something cool gaming? Like, what's the
5.
5?
Guild Wars 1
team.
was built around 8-man content.
Wow.
And that made for really interesting dynamic. They said themselves that was too much.
I
it's
think
tough
so.
to get that many people, coordinate that many people. But back in the day, I mean, you would find dozens of people like waiting to get into a party, and so it was easy to form. But that's a lot of people. So then Guild Wars 2 is completely balanced around 5-man content, except for raids, which is 10-man content.
Do you think they'll keep 5 or shorten it?
I think it's going to be a 5, 100%.
Not 3?
No. You can do... so Guild Wars 2, there's no like trinity of like, tank, damage, and then, like mage or whatever, and healer. So like everybody's expected to dodge and sustain on their own. So like everything, like all dungeons, you could easily do with 3 people. Cool. It just takes you a little longer to kill the stuff, but like in terms of self-sustain and stuff, you don't have like a traditional healer, like healing you. So you don't need that role. You're self-servant, which is cool, but it also makes people like run really shitty builds because they build like defensive and like you're just like learn to dodge, don't just face fucking tank everything. Or like they're an elementalist and they sit in water attunement the whole time just healing themselves and you're like, okay, let's not. You beat yo ass. I'm in what? You beat you ass. You bet your ass. Okay, I think that's what he meant to say. You bet your ass. I'm in on what a Guild Wars 3 is. I have like 7,000 hours in both games. I know. I'm right there with you, dude. You bet your ass. That took a while. You beat my ass. I was like, when did I beat your ass? 100%. I think he has more hours, which is interesting. So this is a whole interesting concept. He is about as casual gets when it comes to like an online like MMO experience. He plays the game like how I would imagine you and Kyle would play. But because of how much content there is, he just stays involved and does all the stuff.
Okay.
Because they're incredibly rich with like things to do. I mean, just to do all the dungeons and stuff, and like each dungeon has like 4 paths, and there was like 16 dungeons on release or something like that. There was like 80 dungeons total to do. They release more. There's like, 20 different fractals. Like 20 different fractals, like which is like a dungeon plus tier. Like you could spend weeks just learning and playing the new content and like trying to figure out like when to dodge and stuff like that, or what the mechanic is for this fight and blah blah blah. Like it's incredibly rich, but he plays it so different than I do. Yeah. Like he has a ton of achievement points, way more than me. I have like the most basic of stuff, but I went into like the more extreme versions of the content, which is like raids. And he played all like the open world stuff and just kind of casually played the story and got like all the cool achievements and the mounts and.
Well, it's like that kind of reminds me of when I played Destiny when I had like my group, right? It was funny because you could always see the difference in our skill set when you would look at the leaderboards. Basic strike mission in Destiny, which is you and your team versus CPUs, I would dominate the leaderboard. Most kills, most damage, whatever. We'd go play any type of competitive, like PvP. I was
dead
middle.
Last.
I was dead last, middle. I was. You could tell, and then they were on top. So you could tell it's like that's where we specialized in. It was interesting because it's like, oh wow, so there's definitely a different skill set for each one.
Oh yeah,
and it's weird. It's weird when you realize that you're like, huh.
Or what people value, or what they're like good at naturally, and what they're trying to like focus on. And that's the nice thing about like 5-man content is everybody like you can't just feed. Like your role is more prominent in a 5-man group than it is an 8-man group or a 10-man group, right? Like you're just that much more important.
Yeah.
Because there's like regularly mechanics where you need to have like 3 people up and they have to do things like within a timely manner. Like there's a fractal, it's called Swamp, and you have to gather like this seed. There's 3 locations, and once someone grabs the first seed, the other people have to grab the seed, and you have to make your way back to deposit them within 30 seconds. All the while, if you touch like any of the roots or like the swamp, or there's traps all through the swamp, they'll immobilize you and they'll fuck you up. So like 2 people, like if you have a normal 5-man group, 2 people are just standing there doing nothing, leeching, and then the 3 people are busting their ass to try and carry these seeds back. And it was just like the embarrassment you would get if you failed that mechanic, because then everybody has to go back out to the swamp.
Like, come on, Billy.
And then do it, and you're like, oh fuck. You're like, all right, I'm sweating. Here we go. So, but I like that stuff where there's like there's a learning curve. Like you can easily kind of strat around like how to do something. And I always love instance combat, but yeah, it is fascinating to see how different Something Cool Gaming and how we played both games.
Yeah.
Both games. I was a hardcore grinder farmer. I always had a shitload of money. Austin had no money ever because he was just farming skins because he wanted all his characters to look really pretty. So he was constantly spending the amount of times I logged on. And he's like, dude, can I get a couple platinum? I need to get this new skin. It was kind of so funny because we finally got back on and just to play here recently. And he literally cleared out his bank and he was like, this is for all the years that you just like always hooked it up. He's like, here you go, take it all. Like I always was taking money from you. Because I didn't give a shit. Like we were best friends at the time, you know. So we were like, fuck
you don't care about cosmetics at all.
No, I could give a fuck. I was hoarding cash, you know. And it was just so funny to see the dichotomy there because he was like altaholic. He had like every class max level, and he was trying to go through the campaigns and stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna grind this one character and be the best.
Into the
this is like
bones.
the most ridiculous thing ever.
So do you think, in your opinion, Guild Wars went do you think it's like mainstream? And let me explain what I mean by that. Is like I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 took Baldur's Gate and Divinity and kind of put it in the mainstream eye. Do you think Guild Wars was ever in that or no? Does that make sense?
If you talked to a gamer in the 2000s, yes, they knew what Guild Wars was.
But has it kind of receded?
I feel like if you talk to a young gamer coming up now, they would have no idea what Guild Wars is. And you know, as they would know, like Albion Online, Elder Scrolls Online, Black Desert Online, a lot of onlines in those. I never really, but yeah, I feel like it's, you know, when you think of MMOs, you think of WoW, and that's it.
Yeah,
and like I don't think young people are playing WoW. I think it's like that's something that you just aged into, or I mean, you were either a part of that era and you're still subscribed now. They still have like 7.5 million subscribers.
That's crazy.
Or you missed that boat. I don't think like if I talked to a 17-year-old gamer and was like, hey, I play Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars, they'd be like, oh, I don't.
So maybe that's the benefit of coming out with 3 is kind of getting it
console and
getting it out in the mainstream eye again, of like Baldur's Gate did. Like that was huge. I mean, it won Game of the Year. It was a big explosion of just of publicity for that game and for that type of game. Like I can't wait. I know we're gonna get Baldur's Gate clones.
Oh, 100%.
Like now we're gonna get
100%.
A bunch of them. So, and like with Cyberpunk did the same thing. So I think 3. I hope it'll be like that
especially on Unreal Engine. Now you've got something there. Like you've got something with the visual fidelity because Guild Wars 2 has held up well. I would say WoW has held up really well because of its art style.
Well, it's cartoonish, so you can get away with
its art style has held up because it's like that's its style. Okay, but Guild Wars 2 just visually, I think it's definitely looking a little aged, more so in these last couple of years. But it's still like you wouldn't play and go, this looks like shit. Guild Wars 1, you'd be like, okay, what the fuck? But that's just so old, 20 years old. It runs on a shoe nowadays. But like Guild Wars 2, you could absolutely it could still hold its own in the ring. But now on Unreal Engine, and now all these titans of games are coming out. I think it's kind of red. I think it's prime. I think the market is primed. If you have a successful launch, and you hit on all three markets, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and you hit the ground running, and you tap into a franchise as beloved as Guild Wars. I mean, we're talking this thing launched. I mean, like 7 million, 10 million people playing this game at launch. I mean, a massive phenomenon. You might have something there. So I'm like I said, I'm the moment they announce it, I'm pre-ordering it. It's not even a question. I'm like, this is something I'll break all my rules.
What if they say if it's live service?
Oh, it has to be live service.
Live service with a battle pass.
Honestly, I was thinking about this because some of the content creators came out. I don't think it works anymore in this day and age. But I might, for this type of game, I might prefer a subscription model. And I'll tell you why. Guild Wars 2, I was never a fashion guy, but everything, all like the cool fashion stuff was in the gem store. You had to buy real money.
Okay.
And then also in the gem store, you could just bust out your credit card and buy infinite gold. You just buy gold with your credit card. And I did that because I didn't want to grind I did the math and I was like, okay, I got to spend 115 hours, grinding this dungeon, or I can spend $10.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I want to do here? So it's like, that's so easy. I feel like that's alleviated if you just have a subscription. Now, the moment you add a subscription, you compete with WoW and it's game over and you lose. So I don't think it works. But I don't know.
think they could.
I don't mind a battle pass.
Battle pass would be fine, especially the thing I think that a lot of people like about battle passes is it's like a subscription, but it's a lot more condensed into like you don't have to, but if you do, you get these cool bonuses, and it's for this short amount of time.
Yeah,
like it's not like you can if you aren't subscribed, you don't get to play at all. It's like WoW, you need a subscription, right?
100%.
Yeah,
$15 a month.
So
it's been that way
and
forever.
That's to me that sucks. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
It's a barrier to entry for you.
Yeah.
Like I'm same way. I'm not willing to even try it until it comes to Game Pass. Like that, I just am not paying that money. Even though I totally get its value. It's like, oh, they're able to provide a shitload of content because of that.
Because they keep getting
but
money in.
I'm gate kept away from that. So
especially I don't know, with in regards to WoW and that type of subscription service, and I think why we're getting more of the battle pass type is the thing with WoW is I don't even know if I like the game and I'm gonna have to subscribe. Like I don't even know if I'm gonna like how it plays. I know they have free trials and stuff like that happen, but I don't want to keep track of that. Like, oh, this weekend, I don't know. And even then it's like I wouldn't, it's like, oh, maybe there's some other game that I already know I like.
Yeah. I don't know what monetization model they're gonna go with.
Loot boxes?
I don't even know what I stand for anymore because I think it all sucks. But I get why it has to be. These games cost a lot of money to make. They just require a lot of time. And I just it's how greedy are you going to be? If a game like Guild Wars 3 costs $20 million to make, let's say it costs, I don't know, is that even a low number? I feel like that's low, right, for an MMO. The average timeline for an MMO to be built is, they say, like 7 years. That's how long it takes to develop that game. So is $20 million, comparing that to $135 million or $400 million for a 2-hour film, it seems like
crazy,
a drop in the bucket. But I don't know, man. I just I don't know what monetization model I want. I just like the values that this studio is founded on, and they haven't disappointed me yet. They've made 2 banger games, so. All right, boys.
Let's hope number 3 is another banger.
Dude, I might take like a month off work. Lose my life.
Just, we come in the podcast after the game comes out. You're like,
who are you? Where am I?
I haven't seen light in years.
I'm gonna send my wife away. Like, leave me. I need to go into my hole. Because I'm still in contact with all my Guild Wars 2 buddies, and I guarantee you that, like, those dudes are take 2 weeks off minimum. They took 2 weeks off for Heart of Thorns, which was the first expansion of Guild Wars 2, when we didn't even know what it was going to be like, and it fucking totally... Dude, Guild Wars 2 was dying, and then they came out there, because they weren't going to do the expansions model. They didn't like that model. And then they were like, fuck it, we have to do something. Came out with Heart of Thorns, and it completely revamped and revitalized the game. It was one of my favorite expansions. I think I put that as my favorite expansion of all time. And those guys took like 2 weeks off, going in blind.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how hardcore these guys are.
That's hardcore.
I'm telling you, and like put probably 200 hours in by the time they went back to work. It's a beautiful thing, Dylan. Like, think of the game that you've ever, like the most time you've ever put in a game. They did that in 2 weeks. And they're just getting started, my man. Like, Asmongold has 35,000 hours into World of Warcraft. 35,000 hours. Like, a lot of the top content creators.
35,000?
A lot of the top content creators in Guild Wars 2 have 25, 30,000 hours. Like, this is not an uncommon thing. Yeah, it's like 7 hours of playtime. Or 7 years of playtime, sorry.
That's 24-hour days.
Divide this by 365, so you get years.
4 years.
So 4 years of 4 years of your waking life.
That's in one game. That's crazy. I mean, but it's like, and it's even hard to wrap around. It's like, you think like, oh yeah, 4 years he played a game, like, especially the content wise, but it's like, no, that's the amount of hours he put in. It's not, I played the game for 4 years. It's, I played the game consistently for 4 years. Actively. Wow.
Well, think about from your perspective of like, add up how much time you've played games in your whole life. I bet you have probably 30,000 hours. You know, if you added every game you've ever played.
One game.
Think about how much you gain back in love and cherished memories.
Hey,
think about how many games you've forgotten you've ever played.
Definitely.
That would never happen. I prefer that model than I'm a quality over quantity guy.
True. But I mean, that's
it's insane.
That's insane. 35,000?
I have like probably roughly 7,000 hours across both games as well. Both games, Guild Wars 1 and 2. Like, I have like 3K hours in Guild Wars 2. So 10x what I put in. And then some. 12x.
See, I could get into a game, like I could no life a game like that, but I have yet to find one that hooks me that hard. Like, because all the games that I get into, I've exhausted all of the content. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not that I get bored, it's that I've done everything. Like Spider-Man.
You won't exhaust.
Yeah, well, exactly. Guild Wars. It's like Guild Wars, you won't exhaust it, right? But like Spider-Man, the games I'm into,
it's done.
I exhaust them, and then it's like I can't do anything else. So one day, maybe there'll be a single-player game that has unexhaustible
Kyle
content.
says he'd rather play many games for a short period of time than one for an absurd amount of time.
35,000 hours.
But as long as you enjoy what you're doing.
35,000.
Kyle always does this. Have you ever noticed this? Like the way he argues? At least when he's in a good mood and he's not snappy. He's not a snappy boy.
When he's not as
But he does this, like, he'll make a statement, like, of what he'd rather do, and then he always softens the blow, like, but you do what makes you happy. You know, but you know, hey man, I know you. That's you just.
That's
do,
your
like
opinion?
He's always, yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm just saying what I like to do. Like, he always like softens that. He's always looking out. Like,
I always try.
I don't want to be too harsh
when I argue with you guys about Tally. I'm like, but that's your opinion. You like Tally.
Yeah. But you do it to be an ass.
I do. Well, you guys gang up on me. You guys get so angry about it.
Because just because I think I'm right doesn't mean you're wrong.
See,
Kyle's on vacation doing he's doing that alpha class, that $18,000 alpha training.
He is.
And this is part of the ego, right? Kyle, are you down there doing that? Are you on the beach holding the fucking sledgehammer?
But here's the thing, Kyle, too. Me and you often agree that Billy is wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that doesn't. And there's no softening
and we gaslight
blow.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
We gaslight him into believing that he's wrong.
I'm gonna start. Everybody in the chat, start checking these clips for Kyle. He's down in that alpha training class, trying to learn how to be a man. Paid $18,000.
I imagine, Billy, when we're old, one time me and Kyle are gonna gaslight you so hard that it's like it breaks you. That you're like, well, I guess so. I mean,
you did that with R.L. Grimes. I started to believe you. I started to inherit the malware. It worked. The gaslighting was so strong. R.L. Grimes was
like we convinced you murdered somebody. You're like,
okay,
well,
that would be tough. That would be an uphill battle.
I don't remember it, but it's like when we all have dementia. You're like.
All right, Dylan, where can people find us?
People can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, any major podcast listening platform, as well as where we stream every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, right here where you're watching us, hopefully. Please leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Come join our lives. We have a lot of fun talking to you guys. I mean, we've got to talk to Kyle here because he's out of town, but we had some other amazing people join as well.
We did. Thanks, everybody. And remember, with a good KD, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.
Bye.